So much for the intermittent showers weather forecast. Still, if you've got to go sailing in this weather, a Paradox is the boat to do it in. This is the bridge over the entrance to Lake Macquarie. When I think about it, our destination today is only about a kilometre to the right. I'm sorely tempted to spend my early afternoon in the Swansea Hotel and just put the boat in for the overnight part of the trip.
Today the Sydney RAID group is sailing from the boat harbour at Summerland Point, northwards up Lake Macquarie, around Point Wollstonecraft, around Poolbar Island and across to Wangi for lunch at the Wangi Caravan Park, before crossing the lake to spend the night on Elizabeth Island. Spoiler alert. As the wind became stronger and stronger, Mark and Georgie elected to skip the lunch at Wangi and avoid the need to get on and off the lee shore in the strong conditions, and they proceeded directly to Elizabeth Island. The next 2 hours went very slowly indeed, with all the raiders sheltering under the open rear door of Scott Shipperfield's work van after the heavens opened. Sadly, Mark left the camera in the car and the downpour went undocumented, but how much rain can you watch anyway?
On Lake Macquarie once again, having just left Summerland Point, and we're heading up towards the Sand Islands. It's blowing probably around about 8 or 9 knots at the moment. Boats handling it. We've got a number of boats here today. Not exactly sure how many because the rain has kept a few people away who are joining in along the way. But fortunately the rain has come to an end, so we should have a good weekend. Might come as a bit of a surprise, but the destination for today wasn't even there when I was learning to sail in the 1960s and early 1970s.
It will come as a surprise to a lot of people that the Sand Islands to which the RAID fleet is sailing today have not always been there. Prior to the construction of the breakwaters at the entrance to Lake Macquarie, the entrance to the lake and the entrance channels were very different. This is an 1861 map of the entrance to the lake. It shows the absence of the breakwaters and the absence of the road approaches to the Swansea Bridge. The main channel entered the lake a long way short of Marks Point. It is also more directly opposite Swan Bay, which is also not enclosed like it is today. The construction of the breakwaters and the approaches to the bridge were both completed by about 1887. These altered the natural tidal flow. This has resulted in a constantly shifting system of sandbanks and channels ever since, despite there having been widespread hydrological studies, repetitive dredging, and retaining wall construction over the years. By 1941, there was effectively no deepwater channel into the lake. However, by 1964 dredging created a defined channel, and you can see the initial pile of dredged sand that is to become Elizabeth Island, forming off Marks Point. By 1970, systematic dredging by the New South Wales Department of Public Works was beginning to be carried out. Its purpose was to enable the expansion of Vales Point Power Station, and also in anticipation of the construction of a new power station at Araring. At Vales Point, the existing English electric turbines and alternators were replaced by Toshiba turbines and alternators built by Tokyo Shiba Ura Electric in Japan. These were delivered to the port of Newcastle by ship and then unloaded onto barges. The barges were then towed by tugs into the lake, down the newly dredged channels, and onto their destinations at the southern end of the lake. You can see that Elizabeth Island has been extended, and the full extent of its future growth is outlined by the straight line of sand heading to the south. By 1975, 2 years before the commencement of construction at Araring, the first signs of vegetation are appearing on an enlarged Elizabeth Island. Swan Bay is now fully closed in by a retaining wall, holding back dredged sand, except for its entrance adjacent to Marks Point. By 1979, continued dredging has resulted in 2 defined entrances to the lake, as well as an enlarged Elizabeth Island, with clearly defined Pelican and Spectacle Islands to the south. By 1989, Elizabeth Island has further expanded as a result of continued dredging. By 1993, vegetation is again returning to Elizabeth Island, and by 2000 the island substantially overgrown. Recent dredging has again seen the enlargement of the island, but this time in a more vertical direction, as the result of continued dredging to maintain the northern channel into the lake past Marks Point. Somewhat unexpectedly, the channel between Elizabeth Island and Pelican Island re-established itself during current dredging and seems to be maintaining itself. Who would have thought that prolonged industrial activity would accidentally create a little paradise, visited by thousands of campers in sail and powerboats each year, that everyone thinks was created by Mother Nature?
Well, there's been a change of plans. We're not going to go to Wanji Caravan Park after slogging all the way to get upwind underneath the Swansea shore. I'm not going to run downwind only to have to slog my way back upwind again. So we're going straight to Elizabeth Island. Certainly very windy up here on top of the sand mound. All of this sand being dredged out of the channel behind it. It is blowing a gale, so much so it's actually blowing the phone out of the control of the gimbal that I'm using to film it.
Oh my god, it's following.
Yeah.
if you want to go anywhere for a few days at a time, like lazy, you're going to be pretty low up if you've got like a few days worth.
It can't be true, mate, because a lot of people watch them.
Yeah.
Particularly if they live in some cold climate where they've got all they want to do is gun.
Oh, he's in front as well. Wow. Ah.
What made it run?
Ah, here. Oh, shit. Follow you in the direction.
Oh yeah, got me.
Should have a grenade at that.
Fly spot. Well, if you go to Eastern Europe.
Yeah, you would be in Ukraine, would you?
They do.
And so another weekend away with the Sydney RAID comes to an end. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and Mark and Georgie will see you soon in the next video.